What I want to talk about is why do you think that is? I mean, why do you think somebody invited you guys to come out here? We're here on a Saturday, and today happens to be kind of a holiday weekend. I'm sure that you guys are got family around, and you guys have a lot going on, and you came out here, at 7:30 in the morning to get together with another group of men, and the answer to that, which some of you guys know, but I really want to talk about today, is really at the heart and purpose of Jesus' time here on earth, and what he told his disciples to do right before he left earth. So today we are going to be talking about discipleship. I want to kind of define it for you guys and let you know biblically what discipleship means, but I also want to say why we do it and how we do it, and most importantly, I want to talk about how we can leave here and bring it to the places that we work, the places that we play, the places that we live. So, to start with, to understand discipleship, what it means to be a disciple. It's defined as a follower. It's defined as a follower, one who accepts and assists in spreading the doctrines of another. To relate this to a spiritual sense, we are Christ's followers. So we are followers of Jesus. We are His disciples. And we are in a great position as His disciples to go out and to assist Him in spreading His teachings, and what really He lived out here on His time on earth. So thinking about why do we do it? All I can tell you is the most important reason is because Jesus told us to do it. In Matthew 28, Jesus is getting ready to leave the earth, and He's telling His disciples, He says, "Go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teach them to obey everything I've commanded you." These were His last words before He left. Now, I want you guys to think about something. I don't know if you guys have ever gone on a long trip, if you've ever left a family member behind. Maybe you're just leaving for the day and you've got your kids staying at the house. There's usually one important thing that you are wanting to leave with them, something that they can take with them, for their benefit. And as I think about Jesus, who really everything that He had done, everything that He could have shared in that moment before He left, He made a point to tell His disciples to go and do what He had been doing His entire ministry, which was to go make disciples of others. And I think we really have to take that seriously, because if you think about it, if we were going to take our final parting words to somebody, something that we wanted to leave for somebody to carry on, Jesus clearly tells us what we should be doing. We should be going out and making disciples. So as I'm sure you guys have looked at some of the moments when Jesus is sharing these important things, the disciples' responses tend to be kind of like that deer in the headlights. Not really quite sure what that means. I mean, when Jesus is saying go to all nations, how are 11 men going to go and spread this message to all nations? I mean, we're talking about, I think we all know, understand the size and magnitude of what He's talking about there. But what Jesus was really teaching all of us through His disciples is that, He took this thing and He simplified it for us. And He did this by what He did with His disciples. He took a few men, a few men that weren't especially equipped to do anything, really that great. I mean, they were fishermen. They were guys like you and I. I mean, you guys have shared, where you work. Not to take anything away from that, but none of us are running the country. I mean, we all have things that we do, but we're all pretty much ordinary guys. And that's who his disciples were. They were just an ordinary group of men. But what he did in that is he taught them, how to love like he did. He taught them how to see like he did. He taught them how to teach like he did. He taught them how to serve like he did. And, to understand what it means to be a Christ follower, we can't get away from the heart of that, which is discipleship. I mean, we are all here because of what Jesus said 2,000 years ago to those disciples. If you guys think about that, 2,000 years later, you guys are sitting in a room because of the words that Jesus said to these guys. Now, if they'd have taken those words and just said, hey, that sounds like a good idea, but it's not me. It's not for me. I mean, how am I gonna reach, the world? I'm not a teacher. How am I gonna teach people about Jesus? I'm not a public speaker. I don't have any special skills. Well, that's not what Jesus said. He said, just go. And he said, find a few men, just like you, just like the guys that I've put together here, that can go and can spread this and watch what I do with it. And as I really begin to think about that, I think about this group here. And I think about how a year ago I was invited to come out to this group. How somebody put those words into my mind, hey, come check this group out. They didn't say anything other than that. I mean, it wasn't like, come get saved, you need Jesus. They just said, come check it out. And I came out with a group of men that seemed similar to me, that did a lot of the same things that I did. And I said, hey, this is kind of cool. Like, I don't feel inadequate. This seems kind of normal, guys getting together and talking. I've never done this before, at least thought about it this way. And, as I began to start to understand who Jesus was, and it really starts, guys, this message, it can be for all of us, but for us Christ followers, those that call themselves followers of Christ, it's what Jesus did. So if we're going to follow him, this is what we should be doing. So in that sense, okay, maybe you don't know about him. Learn about him. Here's Woody, Stephen, Will. They didn't do anything special. They just started meeting for breakfast. And they brought a few guys that they thought of, guys that they thought were like them, that could sit down and they could share what they knew. And as these guys, like myself, sat there, I watched these guys pour into me what they knew. They were able to teach me how to serve. They have taught me how to love. They've taught me how to forgive. They've taken experiences in their life and they've shared it with me. And see, the center of that story is Jesus Christ, because each one of them will tell you it's because of him that these things happen. So as you guys really start to begin to understand what this thing looks like, this may be a talk that is a culmination of all the talks that we have, but it really comes down to the heart and purpose of what Jesus wanted us to do. Because see, you guys won't always be here in Lynchburg, Virginia. You have friends. Like Scott told me, he has a brother in California. Well, what happens, if his brother's not a Christ follower and he starts sharing with him? Well, we just went across the country. And what if he's got a friend who, happens to live in Canada or maybe, France? Jesus understood that, see, in our mind, we want to come up with programs. We want to come up with these elaborate schemes. We're gonna put together this big, production. And see, Jesus simplified it for us. He said, just go, find a few guys, go sit down with them, and share everything that you've learned from me. And it's that seed that's planted in a guy like me, and is the reason why I come out here, every Saturday morning, because I want to share that with somebody else. It is my heart, because, Jesus changed my heart. For me, I had a purpose. I had a purpose probably similar to what you guys have had a purpose, or maybe you think your purpose is now. And yeah, we go and then we get educated on something, and we go get a job, and We make money so that we can, purchase a home and, get things and do things and experience things. And, my purpose always left me coming up empty. See, I was told if I do these things that I'll be happy. If I do these things that I'll experience something by having these things, in my life. Well, I can assure you that for me, it just made me want more. Until the point where I just ran out of steam and said, you know what, I give up because my purpose is pointless because it's never going to end. And, and then a group of guys like Woody and Jared and Steve and Will, they started sharing me what my real purpose was. And see, that purpose can be fulfilled. Jesus is dying. He died so that you could fulfill that purpose. So today is an opportunity for us to just go back to what that original thing was. Is where do you work? What do you like to do? Unless you work in a cubicle and you never leave that room, unless you live by yourself, and unless you do something where you're isolated, you're always going to encounter people. You guys are always going to be in an opportunity to live out your purpose, which is to look around and see that there's a world that needs Jesus. And if you want to live out the purpose that He had intended for you, and you want to find the fulfillment that He wants to share with you, just look around. Go to work and open your eyes up to somebody and say, hey, let me share with them what somebody else has shared with me. Go and make a disciple. And in the process of doing that, you're doing something good for somebody else and you're bringing glory to God, because that was our design. Our design was to be relational. And today I'd love for you guys to just sit around and just talk about, maybe somebody comes to mind, somebody at work, talk about it amongst the group, what it looks like. If I had to zero in on the one thing I want you guys to really talk about is, what does discipleship look like in my life? And what am I doing to fulfill my purpose? And what I wanted to share with you today, which was the higher purpose, what we were really called to do, which is to go and to make disciples. It starts very simply by just, what did Jesus do? If we look back at His 3 years in His ministry, His entire time was spent taking 12 guys along a journey with Him. And, He shared with them everything. And, in the process, those guys changed the world. And He's called us to do the same thing. He's given us that ability to go change the world. So when we walk out of here today, I really want you guys to think about that. Yes, you have a purpose to go fly airplanes, but what about the guy next to you in that co-pilot chair? What opportunities may be there, Ray, when you're stopping in on your vendor and God opened your eyes to see somebody maybe hurting or in a bad place? Because I think we can all agree to one thing. The reason we come back here is because what we've received here. And what we've received here is Jesus Christ. And He has saved all of us from all the places that we've been. So I just really challenge you guys, over these, just when you leave here and continue to go out and look in the places that you're at, to share with others. And to take time to just simplify it. And like, Robert here is from Jersey, Simeon's brother here, he's visiting us here. He's in an environment where everything's fast-paced. And, he's talking about how he just wants to take time. And he's here this morning with his brother, but, he's kind of gotten a snapshot of what it looks like for us to come together and we take time and we get to know one another, so that, we can go out and we can share that with other people. So, I'm really going to be praying for you as you leave and you go back to that group, because I just really am excited to see what God's going to do there. And that's what He's doing everywhere, guys. He's taking what He gave us. And, a wise man once told me, the gospel only came to me on its way to somebody else. So just want you guys to remember that it's not meant to stay with us. We're supposed to take it out to the world. So.